That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Hello and welcome to Content and Capable, a podcast all about following your passions while still feeling like a proper adult. My name's Sam and I'm your host. This week I spoke with Colby Eubanks, who has managed to create content on the internet about travelling around the world affordably and effectively. And I spoke to him about his journey doing that. Welcome to Content and Capable, Colby.
Thank you.
I saw your account one day randomly on TikTok and I was just like, this person must have such amazing stories to tell. I really just want to have a chat and it's been always a dream of mine to speak to someone who's been able to do so much. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
First of all, what got you into wanting to travel so much?
Yeah, there's not like one specific question because people like ask me this like a few times. And I think it was just like a slow build up of like, I just liked seeing new places and like going on adventures or whatever. That initially started with me just like going on like little ski trips because I grew up as a big skier. So I'd go to like different places to ski, and then I was like, okay, I kind of like going traveling, and then I slowly built up to like solo travel, and I would do I'd do road trips and a bigger road trip, and then this all kind of accumulated to like 6 months ago where I got rid of my apartment and decided to just start traveling around the world.
Yeah, and why? Like, what was the kind of motivation 6 months ago to? Like, was there a critical point where you're like, I'm not using my apartment enough and may as well not pay for it anymore?
Yeah, so it was a combination of as I'm starting to shift more into travel-based work, I was like, why am I paying rent if I'm not going to be here half the month? And the city I was in was expensive. And also just like kind of the pandemic slowing and like borders reopening. Like I was cooped up for like a year and a half, 2 years, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to international travel. So it was kind of just a combination of all those things.
Yeah. It's fascinating because of the pandemic. Travel has been, I don't know, at least here in Australia, travel's been very hard. We're still not open up internally here as of recording, although I think by the time this comes out, the last of the borders will open. But like,
I think you guys like just opened.
Yeah, we just opened to international travelers, quarantine free, and then the funniest part is Western Australia. So where people normally enter when they're coming from Europe, you can't enter unless you're triple vax and not for another 2 weeks. Because we as Australians haven't been able to travel over to that half of the country. So it's been very frustrating. But when 2020 did hit, what was your initial reaction?
I was pretty stressed out at first because I had like a bunch of like work projects and whatnot lined up, and things just started getting canceled. Like I had a trip to France that I was supposed to go on for a big shoot, and then I don't know, just everything got pulled out from under me at once. And like at that point, I felt like I had like a lot of momentum, and then it just like stopped. And so I was kind of stressing out for a little bit, but then I kind of figured things out like after like a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's. I think that period of time in March, I remember being sat down and going, "We don't know what's going to happen. Just cancel everything right now, and wait." And at that point, were you travel? As you said, you still had some overseas trips. At that point, were you had you decided on what you were going to try to do? Like, I know a lot of people who were overseas at the time decided to try to stick it out as long as possible, or did you think, oh, I'll just wait until this blows over?
I was in the US, so it wasn't like I was overseas or anything. And I'm actually like really stoked on the timing. That sounds terrible to say, but I'm like, the pandemic was like timed like I would say at like a fairly good point in my life. I'm like, I still kind of had like stuff built up, but then like I wasn't like at my peak where everything just like fell to nothing. So like everything stopped, but then when it resumed, I was able to like keep building, and I feel like now I'm at a significantly better point before I was when the pandemic started. So it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. It was interesting you mentioned as well that you had some shoots and even a quick perusal on like your social media, you can see you're an avid filmmaker. Where did that like aspect of this come from?
Yeah, so that started when I was fairly young. My family, we had like a little like dad camera, handy cam thing. Mm-hmm. Me and my brother, we'd run around with that thing and just like film stupid videos. And then that kind of shifted into me getting a GoPro when I was like 12, which is kind of funny because I dropped that camera in a river 8 days after I bought it, but then I got another one. Anyway, and then with that, I started filming like skiing and whatnot. And then it kind of just like slowly morphed more into me getting deeper into like the filmmaking videography world, and eventually somehow ended up here.
Yeah. And that kind of work now, is that what you like, where you want to be, or is there other things you want to take that film work, other areas you want to take that film work into? Yeah,
I mean, I'm a big fan of the saying like proud but not satisfied. So like I'm super stoked on what I'm doing. Like I love the type of work I'm doing right now, but I know that in 20 years I'm going to be wanting to do something else. It'll still be in like I'll be making videos for the rest of my life. But the thing I like about video creation and filmmaking is there's so many different niches of it. You have documentary, you have narrative, you have commercial, you have all these different things you can shift to. So when you get bored of one niche, you can shift to another, and it's a good enough change that you're still no longer burnt out, but you're still good at it. So right now I'm doing a lot of like social media and commercial type work, but then like in 20 years, I want to be like writing and directing narratives and documentaries probably.
Yeah. And did you ever study that kind of stuff at school, or is it something you just worked on in your own time?
No, I am a student of the internet.
I appreciate that. Half of my actual film studies was Google it, please, because I don't know how to answer your question. And did you consciously make that decision, or is it just something that kind of happened?
I mean, it just kind of happened. Like I grew up on YouTube and around the internet. So like when I started getting into it and I wanted to learn more about it, I just naturally went to Google, went to YouTube, went to Reddit, wherever, and just slowly learned it over time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So, you know, you said you sold your apartment 6 months ago. What was that process like? You know, getting rid of a permanent place to store your things?
Yeah, well, I didn't sell it. I was renting it, so I just got rid of so it wasn't as big of a change. And I was only there for a year. So I just got a storage unit down the road, moved all my furniture in there, and started trapping. And initially when I did this, like 6 months ago, I was like, okay, I'm doing this for 3 months, and then after Christmas, I'm going to get a new place. But here we are 2 months after Christmas, and I've kind of decided, like, why get a permanent place? Like, if I can stay traveling and nomadic, why not?
Yeah. And what, like, to keep staying and traveling and nomadic, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so for me, it kind of just, so my work making videos that... Mm-hmm. That's like, it's not because you have the whole like digital nomad movement right now. And it's basically people working jobs that can be done remotely and traveling while they're working. And a lot of those jobs are usually like graphic design, coding, web development, those types of things. And those can be done fully 100% remotely wherever you are in the world. And the good thing about video, but then also kind of something that makes it tricky, is it's like half remote. So... or I'd say like 20% remote. Like 80% of my work is emails and pre-production and script writing and editing. And then 20% is the actual shooting. So when you're actually shooting something, you have to be in a specific location, but then the other 80% you can be wherever. So it's nice because you can be nomadic for that 80% wherever you want to be. But then that 20%, that will also entail you getting to travel somewhere to shoot. So it's kind of like works out. So I'm like, I'm nomadic.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating because it's not something that like I think the traditional, and I only say corporate America, I mean corporate everywhere really, is that like you've got to be sitting in the same spot doing the same thing. You know, I work a corporate job to pay my bills at the moment, and it's, you know, get into the office, sit down, do the work, close the laptop, leave, and don't think about it. Whereas that, you know, that 80% of the work in filmmaking is, you know, remote. Do you find it hard sometimes to get that kind of like work-life balance? She's sitting there like late at night going, oh, I should be doing
Oh
this.
my gosh. I have none. It's terrible. Like, and I mean, it's just the nature of being in a creative field is like, you can never turn off the switch. You're always laying in bed for hours trying to fall asleep, but your mind is just racing, thinking of things, or you'll be working out, you'll be walking down the street, and like you'll just have to stop because something pops in your head and like pull out your phone and start typing a script or whatever. So it's like it's the nice thing, but then it's also it's bothersome sometimes because like your mind is never not thinking about work or making something.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point, like, even, like, just for Content and Capable, the podcast, I have a list, and then I rewrite the list every week of things I should be doing, and it's like, whenever I have spare time, I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing in my spare time? Oh, look, here's this list of jobs that I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. And then I end up, you know, up till 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I've got to be up at 5. That's not enough time to sleep, like...
Yeah, no, like I feel guilt. Yeah, no, I feel like guilty sometimes when I have free time. But I think in the last like few months, especially with traveling, I've realized that I can actually leverage the free time to be productive, because I have found that when I have free time and I'm sitting there bored is when I have the ideas. So like I would say that's like that takes up a lot of my time. It's just like concepting and developing, and when I'm just sitting at my computer staring at a blank notepad, I don't think of the ideas. So I've kind of been able to mix the two and like, hey, I'm gonna go rock climbing, so one, I'm getting my exercise in, I'm getting my free time in, and I'll probably think of ideas in that process compared to just staring at my computer.
Yeah it's very interesting. And so when you... Sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. When you use the same words, and I realized that was not the question I was planning on asking, what was the decision, what was the thought process behind sharing your experiences traveling on TikTok and Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things, like, once again, I just grew up on social media, so, like, all I've ever known is, like, sharing the stuff that I do and my work on social media. So it kind of just came with it. Like, I'm doing these cool things, like, I want to share it, and, like, I make videos for a living, I want to share my work, and it helps get my work out there more, so it just comes along with the job and the lifestyle.
Yeah. And did that just feel like a very natural extension to the work that you were already doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, social media just comes with the industry of making videos. Like, they go so hand in hand.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. I was the kind of person, my family wasn't big on social media. Not that they like actively discouraged it or banned us from it, but like it wasn't like a big thing for us. And I think in Australia we were a bit slow on the uptake as well, let's be honest. And so it's very fascinating sitting across with someone similar to my age who's just so much more media and social media literate than I am. And not that I feel dumb or anything, but it's fascinating to see what the thought processes are behind that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, it was like, actually today I was like scrolling to like the bottom of my Instagram, and like I had Instagram when I was like 11, and like that's such a weird thought. Like, when I see an 11-year-old, like, I just don't think they should be like, it's such a, like, that's the thing, like, it's such a powerful tool, but then it's like so dangerous. So like, because I was able to be on social media at 11, I think that's like, I was able to consume and learn things so fast that like now I know how to do it. But like also like that's such a dangerous thing to have 11-year-olds on social media. it's very interesting, and like I now have younger siblings who are
on social media a lot earlier than I am, and I sit there and I go, like, on one hand there's that whole I want it the way it used to be kind of thing, and the other half is like, I know that this is a good thing. I know that they're going to make mistakes, but in the end, it's going to be a good thing for them to learn this. And it's very fascinating because I regret not being on social media as much as my peers were when I was a lot younger. It's very fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So when you decide to travel somewhere, what's like kind of the decision making behind choosing where to travel?
Kind of always, it depends, like, what I'm in the mood for, how much money I want to spend. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I'm in Mexico right now, and, like, I planned this trip, like, 7 days ago. I had some friends, they're like, hey, we're going to go to Mexico in a couple weeks. You want to come? And I was like, sure. Yeah. And then the day after I told them sure, I was like, screw it, I'll just go there in, like, 2 days. So I booked a flight and came to Mexico because I wanted to go somewhere warm, and I needed somewhere, like, chill and cheap that I could just sit and, like, get a bunch of editing done. But then if I'm looking for like more of like outdoorsy adventure stuff and like I actually want to go do something, then I'll take that into consideration. Just depends if I'm trying to work or if I'm trying to go do stuff, if I want to be in a city. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, you watch a lot of people on the internet traveling. I think it's been kind of my guilty pleasure these last few months. As I've been waiting for the borders to reopen and like watching people traveling and going, I wonder what that, you know, and it's very interesting because you are quite free in choosing where you want to go. It's like, it's just wherever I feel like, and it's interesting. Like, and you mentioned, you know, money and stuff like that. Where, like, what's some of the techniques you use to kind of make sure that it's going to be affordable to travel where you want to go?
Yeah, so the two big things that I tell people is one, the destination you're going to, and then two, just being flexible on your dates. And obviously, like, some people can't be flexible with dates. They have like hard set when they're free. But if you have the luxury of being flexible, then like that can save you a ton of money because you can go into Google Flights, wherever, Airbnb, and you can put in dates, and then you can put in like flexible dates, and it'll tell you the cheapest week to go, the cheapest month to go, and that can save you a ton of money. And then also just like picking destinations, like if you go to Southeast Asia, that's going to be a quarter of the price if you go to Scandinavia. So it's like you just have to pick your destinations and your dates strategically, and that's where you'll save the most money.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've had to start looking at. You know, I'm looking at planning my next international trip or two, and it's like, what dates do I want to be there for? What dates can I afford to be there for? And it's very fascinating to look at and kind of experience how that works. It's amazing. And when you do travel, once you've decided where you want to go, do you like sit down and go, I'm going to make content, or like what's your first priority when you arrive in a country?
Yeah, it kind of like that also depends on like where I'm at. So like for this trip right now, I have a ton of content already shot and I just need to edit it. So I am here to sit in my Airbnb and edit videos for the next 2 weeks. Compared to like a couple months ago, I was in dire need of content. So I spent a lot of my time out filming. So I would make sure to curate where I went and those experiences that were content heavy, and just that process generally.
Yeah, it's fascinating because it's always like swings and roundabouts as well. Like, you know, I'm really lucky at the moment. I've got a really great backlog of content, and a backlog of people to record the podcast with. And then, you know, the other media I create, you know, I'm a journalist, so I'm going to be, you know, creating news and that. So I've got a really good backlog. But then, like, I assure you, in 3 weeks' time, I'll be, like, desperately searching for, you know, new guests and things like that. And it's very,
I know.
It's almost very, like, reassuring to know that, like, it happens in swings and roundabouts and you're going to be stressed.
Yeah, no, like,
but yeah,
like in 2 weeks, I'm gonna be like, okay, I have everything edited. I need new videos to film, and then I'll be out filming things for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, okay, I need to take a break and edit all this, and it's like,
yeah, it doesn't stop, and I suppose it's like it's not like your typical 9 to 5, 5 days, 5 days a week, and it's like, but at the same time, it's still that regular cycle of busy and slow. But yeah. What when you travel to a different country, what are some of the priorities that you have in terms of like things, like when you get to a country, do you decide that you're going to try to do an experience first, or like you kind of like, sorry, I'm phrasing this terribly, it's more like kind of, what do you... Wow, my brain has stopped working.
No, I got you. I mean, like, when I get to countries, I mean, typically my priorities are, like, have some of the, like, obviously eat the food and, like, try to make a local friend there. Like, it's always so nice to, like, meet somebody who, like, lives there, because, like, when you're friends with somebody who lives there, like, they know about so many cool things and, like, so many cool people that, like, you can't find looking on the internet. But I'm a very introverted person, so that gets hard sometimes. And then, I'm like big into like outdoorsy, like hiking, skiing, climbing, all that type of stuff. So I usually like to, if that stuff is prominent nearby, then I'll usually try to do some of that.
And is that like, do you find that those cultures around those activities you really love doing are often very similar to what you know and have experienced through the rest of your life?
Yeah, that whole like outdoor adventure industry, like all those sports. I mean, the communities internationally are like amazing. People are so welcoming and like nice, like no matter where you are. So yeah, no, that's a pretty universal thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
that's pretty amazing. Like it's not very often you sit down and you go, it's just like everyone's the same. It reminds me of what's it called? It's a movie, and I can't believe I've forgotten it. No, wow, it's completely escaped my head. But like maths is the same in every country, like no matter where you've come from. Mean Girls, it's like maths is the same in every country, and it's like it's that kind of thing, and I really love that concept and go, So when you have like when you've like visited a country and you're on the way out, you know your time's like running out, you're returning or going on to the next adventure. Do you kind of like realize? Do you get to a point and you you realize you haven't like done enough or like you need to slow down a little bit? Like, how do you find that you pace yourself in a new environment?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've never left one place fully satisfied with like, okay, I did every single thing possible. I never need to come back. Like every time I leave somewhere, I'm like, okay, I did a bunch of cool things, but I know more things that it gives you a reason to come back. Like if you do everything, then you'll never come back. But like when you leave things open-ended and you don't do things, and it's like, okay, cool, now I can come back because I have a reason to.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And when do you go? Oh, I'm going to plan my next trip, or do you kind of like sit there and go, nah, I'm going to leave it open ended and I'll come back when I feel like coming back?
Yeah, no, I keep it pretty open ended, and I more just like throw it in the back of my mind, and be like, okay, I definitely want to come back here. And then when the time's right, the time's right.
Yeah. You're often posting quite a lot on like budgeting trips and things like that. Do you ever find that there's a point where you sit down, you really want to be doing something, but the budgeting has become like really, really hard for it?
I would originally yes, but as of recently, like no. Mostly just because like I've gotten better at it. So it's like, I don't do anything super strict. I just keep a very detailed spreadsheet, and I have like financial apps that like allow me to track everything. So I kind of just like set a number in my head, like, okay, this is how much I want to spend, and then I just use everything to track it to make sure I'm on pace. And it's not that difficult because I like just do it in everyday life anyway. So
yeah,
and I'm a very like stingy personal finance nerd by nature.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's that kind of thing of like, if I can find a bargain, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna take it. That's me completely. Yeah. When you like get to that kind of thing of like, I'm just gonna make it work, do you ever like turn around and go, has there ever been a point where you're gone, this is not what I kind of expected to get from, how much I was willing to invest?
No, I would say it's usually the opposite, to be honest. Because like I said, like I'm fairly cheap and I don't go around like just blowing money. I kind of like put, especially if it's about to be something really expensive, I'll like put a lot of like research into it, and I'll like really break down the decision, and I'll be like, okay, I guess I'm going to do it. But then like the moment I commit, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did that. So it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah. Has there ever been a point where you've like been glad that you've been stingy? Like, we're saying stingy, but like not in a negative sense, but like glad you've like decided to go the cheaper route, because it was like, in your perspective, it sounds even better than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it has its. I mean, like for example, like in Europe, like I stayed in a bunch of hostels to save money. So like I was saving money, but then by staying in hostels, you also meet a bunch of people. So I met a bunch of people. Yeah. But then also it kind of has its downsides, because I'm sure I've missed out on plenty of cool experiences because I was like, I don't want to spend money to do that. So I'm sure it has its downsides, but certainly has its upsides too.
Yeah. What's been your favorite adventure so far?
Oh gosh. There's so many. Road tripping through Morocco was fun. Just Thailand in its entirety was cool. I spent 3 weeks up above the Arctic Circle in Finland. That was cool. And then just all like the road trips that I've done around the US have been super cool. I love road trips.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. I went on a month-long road trip in January, at the height of COVID here in Australia, of all time. It's just like, let's go on a road trip. I'm sick of being stuck in the house. Yeah, I did a lot of those during 2020, 2021. I just packed up my car, drove 2,000 miles up the Northeast, or like there was one where I like drove to this like random lake in Arkansas, and I loaded up my paddleboard with like camping stuff, and then I camped on an island in the middle of this lake in Arkansas, and then I just love road trips. It's very fascinating. I think it's something that many people don't really appreciate, but those kind of things, you get to like travel a little bit slower. I think it really makes you appreciate the,
and it's
the
so freeing. Like whenever I'm abroad, I try like every chance I get, I try to get a rental car or get a moped or like something that like allows me to be mobile, is because like that's just my favorite thing. It's just like driving around and like seeing something on the side of the road and be like, oh, I'm gonna go over here, and like you can't do that when you're on a bus or a train or anything. So it's just nice to have the freedom to do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We there were a couple of points where we just were like, we're just going to make a detour, or we were in Canberra, the capital of Australia, and we were like visiting, and we were doing all like the typical sites. But within like one afternoon, I was like, let's just go for a drive around the embassies and have a look at them, because it's just really fascinating to see what other countries' presence in Australia looks like. And it was just very freeing that we had like our own mode of transport. We weren't restricted to whatever was publicly available. It was amazing. Yeah, no, and it leads to like just super cool and random things. Like when I was in Morocco, I had a rental car, and I pulled off on the side of the road because there was like a herd of camels, and I just like wanted to get a couple videos of the camels, and then like these two local Moroccans just showed up out of nowhere.
And the only language they could speak is like the local language and then like a little bit of French. So we obviously couldn't communicate at all. But like we were using hand gestures and stuff, and like we hung out for like 30 minutes, and then like eventually they like pointed at my rental car, and like I was like, okay, I'll let them drive. And then upon letting them drive, I realized that they had no idea how to drive because they'd probably never driven before. So we're in this like gravel like parking lot type thing, and like they go to press the brakes, and we like go to the slam forward of the car, and then like afterwards I was like pointing at them like first time, and they're like, yeah. So I just met these two random guys in Morocco, and I let them drive for the first time. So just stuff like that happens that couldn't otherwise.
That's like, it reminds me of the first time I drove a car many years ago now. And that, like, the whole braking thing was very, you just put on the brake. No, that's not how that works. Wow, yeah, that's amazing. And, like, obviously, we've made a couple comments about borders and things like that. Now that some international borders are reopening, obviously, I think most European borders are opened to the US and things like that. But now that some other borders are opening, what are some of your hopes for your travels over the next few years?
A lot of places in Asia, because Asia, I mean, even still, Asia's pretty restricted. Like I went to Thailand for a month, and that was the hardest place to get into that I have visited, yet it was the easiest country in all of Asia. So there's all sorts of Asian countries that I want to go to. I want to go to Australia. I want to go to South America. I just want to go everywhere. So many places. I want to go back to Europe. Whole lot of places in Africa. I just listed off every continent. It's like
every country. We're just going to go everywhere again.
I mean, literally though.
Look, it's the same here. Like, I don't travel internationally very often. It's quite prohibitive. Like, I usually have access to reasonably cheap fares, but it is still quite prohibitively expensive. And I suppose in some sense, like, daunting as well to, like, travel. Like, Australia in general is about the size of the US, and then it's like, okay, well, it's a pretty big country. But then at the same time, he's sitting there going, to get anywhere internationally, I've got to fly, at least 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
Because, you can't just drive anywhere. We can't catch a train or whatever. You've got to fly. And unfortunately, the airlines do charge a little bit through the nose to get in and out of Australia. But like, it's very... Like, it's, like, really, really, really exciting to be able to, like, think about and plan and actively get ready for traveling overseas, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, I think you guys might have it. You guys do have it worse, but still in the US, like, it's still pretty expensive and like time consuming to get internationally unless you're like going to Canada or Mexico, because like not as isolated as Australia, but still pretty isolated. Like Europeans, man, they have it so nice. They're just in the middle of everything. Yes.
You just be in a new country every week, and it'd be fine.
Yeah,
obviously,
literally.
World events right now have made Europe an interesting place to be, but it's quite frustrating to be. Like, and look, it doesn't mean that I don't travel. Like, I definitely travel domestically a lot. But at the same time, I'm sitting here going, I've done my domestic traveling. I've supported, going around the country, and I've done as much as I want to right now. But now it's the time to, step out internationally.
That's kind of how I was. I visited a ton of the US, and I was like, okay, I've seen most of this country. Time to get out. Go see more.
Yeah. If you had to give advice to someone who was nervous about planning international trips on their own, what kind of advice would you give?
Don't be like super hard on yourself and think that you have to have like a hard set itinerary. I mean, if it's your first time, obviously don't just go into it with like no plan, but like just make it loose. Like be like, okay, have a general idea of the regions, the countries that you're going to go to, and like have a few, like just keep like a list of potential places you'd want to go. And then like when you're in the moment, be like, okay, we're close to here. Let's go here. Don't be like, okay, at 8 a.m. I'm going to this place. And then we're going to stay there for 30 minutes and do this. Cause like you're just ruining the fun of it. Spontaneity is part of the fun. So just kind of make like a rough little general plan of what you want to do.
Yeah, that's, it's hard, I think, for those who get nervous and their coping mechanism is planning. I vividly remember I was in Japan, it would be 5 years ago now, and we Japan's, a very interesting place, and we did it quite intense. We did all of Japan in 8 days.
Oh,
and, wow. Like we went, Tokyo, Hiroshima, Kyoto, Osaka, and then back to Tokyo. And was like, we did it all. And I remember sitting down one night and going, what are we going to do tomorrow? And like, on one hand, I was like, awesome, let's plan everything out. And like, I wrote it down. But at the same time, like, we turned around the next morning and go, that's not what we want to do. We kind of just want to explore and do our own thing. And it was really actually made for a more interesting day. I was traveling with my family, in our opinion, than it was to, go and do everything very regimented. And it's quite easy to fall into that trap as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I still am like that at sometimes. Like, I don't know, I just have a thing with like planning things and like organization. I kind of like geek out about that stuff. But I think travel's definitely helped make me significantly more spontaneous. So.
Mm-hmm. I asked about what your most favorite part. What about what's your least favorite part about your trips so far?
I got robbed $11 in an alley in Morocco, which was like kind of fun. Morocco is a very interesting place because their economy is very reliant on tourism. So the government, and they've had like a few incidents with tourist and like terrorism problems. Well, I wouldn't say it happened like once, like 5 years ago. And it kind of like made a hit to their tourism industry. So the Moroccan government's like very strict on like, hey, don't mess with the tourists. Like this is relying on our tourism. So in Morocco, you just have like a lot of like petty theft. You no longer have like any like serious like like you don't have to really worry about being killed in Morocco. But so that leads me to the story. I'm in the capital of Morocco. I'm walking down the street. This guy stops me. He's like, hey, you can't go that way. They close it off for the Islamic prayer time. He was like, okay, I'll show you the right way. Okay. Very, very nicely dressed man, spoke fantastic English. I was like, okay, whatever. And he leads me a couple blocks away into an alley, narrow street where he has a friend waiting. And I was like, great. And they start demanding money. They're like, give us 200 dirham, which is like $20 US, like 100 for each of us. And they're like, we showed you the way. And I was like, no, you did not show me the way, because by this time I realized that he lied to me about the square being closed off or whatever. And we're arguing for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, give us money. No. Give us money. No. Give us money. No. And then eventually they start like threatening me. Like, do you want trouble? Like getting in my face. Like, I'll break your face. And like I said, I wasn't like super concerned of them like physically hurting me, because like their government would be strict on that. But then when you're in the moment, you kind of like panic a little bit. So I was like, okay, I'll give you 100. And they're like, no, we want 200. And I was like, I'll give you 100. And then we just back and forth more and more. And I eventually just pulled 100 out of my wallet, gave him 100, walked away. And that was the end of it. So that was interesting.
Wow. It's definitely like a scary situation to be in as well. You go, how am I going to be safe? Obviously, you had some idea of, I know that I will be safe to an extent, but at the same time, it's all very
in the moment.
Well.
Yeah, no, like looking back, and I was like, why didn't I just walk away? Like they weren't gonna like chase me and like hunt me down, but whatever. I mean, they needed it more than me, probably. So
yeah, and like what does like. You mentioned that you'd done, some research and we were aware of, the way that Morocco kind of enforces, laws, especially around tourists. How do you kind of do that research to get an idea of the kind of country and the expectations that country is going to have when you visit?
I like using Reddit a lot, just because like you can go to Google, but then the problem with Google is you just have like a lot of like sponsored articles with like tourism boards paying off the people writing it. They're like, oh, it's great, everything's phenomenal. So Reddit's nice, and especially because like you can go to like the Moroccan subreddit and like things will be like up to date, like with people like talking about their experiences in the last week, because like that's a thing. Things in countries are always evolving. So that's kind of what I use, and then also like I'll go to YouTube sometimes, and sometimes I'll find useful YouTube videos. So I'd say just a combination of everything on the internet.
Yeah, wow, it's pretty amazing, like, and
Facebook,
as you said,
Facebook groups too. There are some Facebook groups that provide like good up to date information on like current situations going on.
Yeah, I suppose and you make a really valid point there about like tourism boards kind of paying off writers and going, no, everything's fine here. Don't worry about it. And it's like you've got to kind of cut through the bullshit and go, oh, okay, what is actually going on here, and what can we do?
Yeah, there's no problem with that. I mean, like I make like tourism boards hire me to make videos that make their country look good. So like I don't have a problem against it, but like sometimes you just want like real whatever unbiased. Yeah, you want unbiased information. Yeah.
The whole bias thing is quite a funny thing as a journalist. It's something that, the word I'm very sick of. But anyway, have you ever been like, has your expectations ever been like changed? Have you ever been surprised by like the difference between what you researched and what a place was actually like?
I don't really think so. I mean, I guess like in terms of like natural beauty, there's been countries that have like blown me away when I got there that I wasn't anticipating. Like I went to Slovenia and I was like, okay, Slovenia will be like a cool little country to check out. But I got there and I was like, holy crap, this place is amazing. Why does nobody talk about this place that often? So stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome. That's amazing. Like, and I suppose it's one of those things where, a photo might paint one picture, but then you look at it in person and you go, actually, that's much more beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's another common thing is like you do have like a lot of like touristy places that are just like heavily Instagrammed and whatnot. And then like you see so many perfectly taken Instagram photos and you go there and they kind of suck. So that's a pretty common thing just across everywhere.
Yeah. I suppose as a part of the associated baggage of the industry as well. It's like everyone wants to make everything look perfect. Do you ever get to a point where you just want to go home? Like obviously you don't have like a place that is semi-permanent, like your apartment. But like, do you ever get to a point where like I just want to go home now? Yeah, no,
like literally like a week or two ago, like I kind of like had like a couple days and I was like kind of like depressed and like stressed out, like all I want right now is just like a permanent place to go to right now, because like I was bouncing between like a different Airbnb like every other day and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's so like not depriving or just that's probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean. And it's just like I just need somewhere homey for like a little bit. So it definitely, you have its moments, but then you'll overcome it and you're like, okay, I'm glad I did not impulsively just go rent an apartment because that would suck right now. So you just gotta get over the hump.
Yes, no. We've been complaining here of Brisbane, where I live, was announced last year that we're going to be hosting the 2032 Olympics. And even before that, we were complaining about house prices and rental prices, just in Australia more broadly.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky. I'm a student. I rent for a ridiculously low rate as compared to my peers and other people who, rent and or buy. And I sit here and I go, if I could get rid of the $150+ that I have to spend each week, and kind of, be able to experience more things, I definitely would. Unfortunately, right now, I'm stuck because, I go to university, I've still got a year left of my degree, and, I've got a whole bunch of other bits and pieces that I've got to sit down and focus on here locally. But
I mean, that's what led me to do the whole nomadic thing too, is because just rental and home prices have just been exorbitant here, especially like in a lot of the cities that I would actually want to live in. Like I grew up in Kentucky, so like I could go back to Kentucky and buy a house for dirt cheap, but like I don't want to live in Kentucky. I want to live out west in the mountains, and like there it's just gotten so expensive. So it's like, okay, I'm not paying this expensive rent. I'll just go live around the world for the same price.
And it's quite desirable, I think, at this stage. People are, I don't know, the sentiment I keep hearing is people are quite fed up with being stuck and having to pay a lot of money for being stuck in one place.
Yeah,
so.
I think the pandemic really kind of started like a revolution almost of people realizing like, okay, I don't want to. It was like, well, some people, it hit them and they're like, okay, I want to move to the city that I actually like enjoy. Or they were like, I just don't want to live in one particular city at all. It's like, I feel like everyone's just been flocking to the places that they like the most.
We went for a big camping trip in September 2020. And we drove like 5 or 6 hours north of where my parents and I live. And we were camping, and we were at this huge campsite, lots of kids. I've got younger siblings who are primary school age, so they were all playing and everything. But as adults, it was very interesting to look around and see some people had been stranded here, weren't able to return to the cities or states that was their home because they were away when all the lockdowns started, and had all these amazing working from home or working while camping setups that they had. It was very fascinating to see, and kind of like took on that nomadic lifestyle as like a way of life.
It's gotten very popular.
It's very amazing. Do you think you'll ever, like, we mentioned the impulsive decision to rent somewhere or find an apartment. Do you think you'll ever decide at some stage to go, I'm just going to make this my permanent place for the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like if I had enough money right now, I would 100% go buy a home. I wouldn't necessarily live in it. I would just rent it out and have it be an investment property. I just want something that I can own, and like I have the option to go to it when I need to. And then if I don't need it, I can Airbnb it, rent it, whatever, and have like a little side income coming in. So yeah, hopefully I just need more money.
I suppose it's the trappings of being a young person and not having been working for however many years. It's like, I don't have money.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because like I have enough money to go buy something in like a state that I don't want to live in, but like if I'm going to buy something, I want it to be in a state that I actually enjoy. But the problem is the states I enjoy are exponentially more expensive than the states I don't want to live in, because that's how it works.
Yes. Well, yeah, and it's the same for me. I'm really lucky to live where I live, but obviously where I live isn't permanent. My landlords happen to be my parents, and that's great and all, but at some stage, I've got to move out of here. I've got to find somewhere either to live or a way to be able to work remotely, and it's incredibly frustrating to know that that's coming up and having to make that decision and make a call of what I do. But yes. Well, thank you so much, Colby, for coming on Content and Capable. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. It's been amazing to
good talking.
Learn how, you have made traveling part of your life.
Yep, it's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I can't wait to see what happens. And if you do come to Australia, you're more than welcome to come and visit. I'm sure.
What city are you in? You're in Brisbane. Okay.
You got Sydney and Melbourne. Most people know Canberra's the capital, and then Brisbane. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I can't wait to see the adventures you get up to next.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So the last thing I completely forgot to do when I had this amazing conversation with Colby was to plug his socials. So if you want to go and check out Colby, you can check him out on TikTok at Colby Eubanks. That's ColbyEubanks. And on Instagram, it's Colby_Eubanks. So same spelling, just an underscore between the Y and the E. Make sure you go check him out there. He's got heaps of travel content, and I'm really, really sorry that I completely forgot to ask him about this. You know where to find me as well, and all my socials are linked in the description. Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. You can follow the podcast socials at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram and Twitter. You can send a super boring email to us through contentandcapablepod@gmail.com. The art was done by Opia. You can follow them on Opia_art on Instagram. Opia is spelled OPIA. Feel free to message them about making art for your project. Our music was written, recorded, and edited by Nora Strauss-Riggs. You can find Nora at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast. I'm proud to be a part of the Movie Night Crew Network, which features the Restricted section, a chapter-by-chapter Harry Potter pod with lots of spoilers all the time, Of the Eldest Gods, a chapter-by-chapter Rick Riordan pod full of myths and legends, My Cabbages, an Avatar podcast that follows the true hero of Avatar The Last Airbender, the Cabbage Cart Guy, Fandom's Gone Wrong, a show that discusses all things fandoms, and the Movie Night Crew. Join some friends as they react to some terrible, some meh, and some really great movies.
Alrighty.
It's movie night.
Grab your popcorn.
Grab your coffee. Grab your friend. Grab a cat.
Let's go!
Who directed this?
What year did it come out?
Is that girl from that show?
Who wrote this?
Where's the cat?
Who would you rather bang?
Pass the popcorn.
Does this pass the Bechdel test?
What about the Steve Buscemi test?
Does a woman literally speak in this movie?
Oh my god, a dog.
This reminds me of in Harry Potter when...
Are we recording?
What did the critics say?
It's a guilty pleasure.
What's your rating?
Can you be quiet?
Oh my god.
Movie Night Crew.
It's just like watching movies with your friends.
And then arguing about it after.
Every Sunday wherever you get podcasts.
Content and Capable is a podcast all about answering the question, how do you adult? Don't forget to rate and review it on your favourite podcatcher, and I will see you next Monday for another episode.
That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.